Hello, we are learning about the scientific method, and we are going to do a scientific fair or science fair project controlling something and comparing something. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So, in a good science fair project, you compare something. You have a control group and you have an experimental group. What I mean is, this plant right here, we're going to experiment with the amount of fertilizer that it would take to grow a plant and make it more green or taller or something or broader leaves. But we have one plant that we're going to keep as a control group. The control plant just gets water and no fertilizer. Then the other plants, maybe you have more than one, maybe you have 10 or 15 plants, or maybe you only have three, but the second plant gets the fertilizer. And then the next plant gets a different type of fertilizer. And then the next plant gets maybe more or less fertilizer. So we have one control group that only gets water, and we're not experimenting on that group. We're experimenting on the other groups. So you need to decide something in your project that you could compare. One does not get the experiment, and one does get the experiment. So you're going to also describe those experiments and describe what's happening in your experiment with qualitative and quantitative descriptions. A quantitative description, quantitative, has an N in there, and the N reminds me of numbers. So when quantity means how much, so you can measure something in numbers. You can measure how tall, long, far, wide. Um, you can measure a lot of things, and you can use those numbers to help you describe something. This teddy bear, quantitative description: two eyes, two ears, one head, two arms, two legs, one book, one belly area. That is quantitative data. Then you have qualitative data with an L in the middle. Qualitative are words that you can use, characteristic qualities to describe your experiment. And if we were describing this teddy bear, the qualitative characteristic words we might use are cute, fuzzy, cuddly, soft. These are qualitative data, or white, or beige, or something like that, sleepy, that we would use to describe the qualities, the characteristics of the item. So these are words that you're going to use to describe the data that you're going to collect on your experiment. You're going to collect qualitative data and quantitative data on your experiment, whatever your experiment is. So I'm going to forward down here and show you the scientific method steps. So you're going to find a question: which plant grows better? Do plants grow better with fertilizer? That's your question. Hypothesis: I believe that plants do grow better with fertilizer. Experiment: for 2 weeks, I tested a control plant with just water. I tested a plant with fertilizer and water. Data: I wrote down, I measured how far the plants grew every day. I measured how wide the leaves were. I recorded the colors of the green plant. Were they green? Were they more green? Were they less green? Did they turn brown? And then I made a chart out of that, and I graphed that data. I analyzed my data. I looked at it and I thought, let's see at the end of 2 weeks, which one works the best? Is it the fertilizer one? Is it the not fertilizer one? Which one works the best? And then I made a report, and it showed that we have our data shows this certain thing happened, and this is why it happened. And I learned from that data. So that is how you do the scientific method.